Apart from the US election result, the 8th November of 2016 proven to be the one of the most significant dates in the history for the Indian citizens as well, as India decided to completely scrap off the old 500 and 1000 rupees notes effective immediately and replace them with the new 500 and 2000 rupees currency notes. This abrupt decision of demonetization to curb the black money has literally jolted the citizens of India as well as the country's economy for the time being. The majority of Indians has welcomed this bold move of the Prime Minister of India with the open hands, and the rest of them are struggling to revive from this shocking move and moreover blaming and criticizing it. But whatsoever, the question is, will this decision be effective as the Indians thought it ought to be? Well, let's find out. As the Indian citizens have been told that they can replace the 500 and 1000 rupees notes through banks and post offices in the given time period, so regarding the given guidelines, there are some points to be considered to conclude the potency of this strategic plan to restrain the black money. Point number 1. How much 500 and 1000 rupees notes contribute to the cash flow of the Indian currency? The banned currency notes of 500 and 1000 rupees have the major contribution in the Indian economy. They are accounted for close to 85% of the notes in the circulation, and that is significantly huge. It is like the almost entire lot of Indian currency has banned right away. Although it will certainly hit a death blow to the black economy and will bring back more than $20 billion worth cash into the mainstream economy. Point number 2. How many of Indians have the accounts in the banks as well as in the post offices? And are the branches of these banks and post offices easily accessible to every Indian citizen? Based on the latest United States estimation, the current population of India is slightly more than 1.3 billion, and that is unbelievably huge. As per stats released by the RBI, that is Reserve Bank of India, in 2015, the total number of deposit accounts were 1,440 million, and saving bank accounts were 1,170 million. These figures may suggest that nearly every Indian citizen has a bank account, but that is not the case. Because generally every middle class or upper class individuals have 2 or more accounts in the bank. That means certainly a large proportion of population will have multiple bank accounts. So it is practically impossible to determine that exactly how many Indians have the accounts in the banks. But it is for sure that millions of Indians will suffer from this decision who still don't have any bank account. And to estimate the accessibility of the banking premises, let's break down some of the statistical facts. There are approximately 1,13,000 bank branches in India and approximately 1,55,000 post offices. So this concludes in India there are approximately 2,68,000 banking premises, excluding ATM machines. And they have to substitute the new issued currency notes for the 1.3 billion Indian citizens. The figures may seem quite shocking at the first look, but it is to be noted that nearly 40% of the Indian population is not older than 20. So this out of the blue decision is partially feasible with overtime by the bank employees and not to forget under lot of stress. But still, it will be leisure for the Indian citizens if the India has more branches of the banking premises. Point number 3. In order to meet the demand of the new currency notes, the government has enforced the limit on the withdrawal for a short period of time. So how effective it has been proven so far? The Indian government must have sensed before taking the demonetization decision that this task will not going to be easy. So they have to enforce the limit on withdrawal in the initial stage. And that's what they are doing. The government officials are working tirelessly to meet the demand, but to replace the nearly 85% of currency notes in the stated time period of 50 days for such a humongous population is proving very difficult. Since the ban, Indians are facing difficulties to cope with their routine work, and moreover lots of people are struggling for their daily wages. The large proportion of population is spending their valuable time standing in the long queues in front of the banks and the ATMs. But still 10 to 15% of them are unable to replace the banned currency on the daily basis. Devastating news of deaths from the various parts of the India is still coming even after 20 days of the announcement due to lack of cash in hands. It would have been really helpful if the Indian government have more stock of money to replace with so that Indian citizens would have not gone through this difficult phase. Point number 4. Obviously, the Indian finance is going to face chaos and the stock markets are being affected by the decision. So how much time it will take to normalize the situation? It looks like it will take 5 to 6 months to get rid of these chaotic situations. First 2 months seems to be very difficult. After second and third month, the situation will be less severe as compared to as it is now. And perhaps after a year, India will regain its financial strength, and with time India will start to become economically stronger with a much faster pace, due to abolishment of large stocks of black money. Certainly what Indian government is trying to do is commendable, but there are some major loopholes in their plan. Their strategic plan is certainly half-measured. It's like they know what to do, but they have no idea how to do it. If Indians remain patient during the whole process, the government will certainly eradicate the huge stock of black money, but it will only be the temporary solution, because eventually the new issue 2000 rupees notes will lead to corruption again. To make it understand what is black money and how big denomination notes have big role in it, we have to discuss a few points here. The black money is simply an income obtained from the illegal practices or not declared for the tax purposes. And big denomination currency notes play a big role in it. Majorly, the big denomination currency notes are used only to give and take bribes in any country. That is because of the easy access to the higher denomination notes. The corrupt individuals purposefully use them to avoid the transactions happen through the banking system, so that their large sum of money can't be traceable. So now India has even higher denomination notes. They are scrapping the 1000 rupees notes from the market but introducing 2000 rupees notes. Now you do analyze the situation when some corrupt individual has easy access to even higher denomination notes and think how this corrupt individual will start stockpiling again. And this time it will be easier for him to have more value of money in the less quantity. Now the question arises, then how India or any other country in the world can minimize the corruption and effectively eradicate the black money problem? There are two main key points for this to implement. Point number 1. Remove the higher denomination notes completely. Presence of high denomination notes in any country is the sign of corrupt country and corrupt politicians, because their presence always leads to the corruption one way or another. Let's suppose if someone doesn't have access to the big denomination currency notes, then for any illegal activity, it will be very difficult for that corrupt individual to take a humongous amount of money with small denomination currency. And certainly he will have to face number of problems during carrying the large sum of money and hiding it from the government. So this way criminals and corrupt will start avoiding the stockpiling of the money to avoid the detection. Point number 2. Enforcing the maximum banking system. Any good economist will tell you that economically progressive country is the one where all the transactions happen through the banking system instead of cash. Because if someone does the transaction through the banking system, it will be easier for the government to keep the tabs on that person. That means the country who does not wish to enforce the banking system is surely the corrupt one. If the higher denomination notes will be scrapped off completely from the country, then even the people who belong to the rural areas will root towards the banking system. And they will certainly demand to have the same fair services of bank in their areas. In this way, the bank will see the growth opportunities in the rural areas, and also it will open the chance of employment for the employment challenged country, and ultimately it will be the all win-win situation. These 2 points may not be the perfect solution to avoid the corruption, but it will definitely maximize the chances of its confinement. Well, all in all, Indian government has taken the half-measured but interesting set of efforts, and let's see how it turns out to be in the future. If you have anything to add to this, let me know in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe the channel if you find it informative and interesting as well, because there will be more interesting videos in the future. Until then, peace out.